Hey everyone, and welcome. Isn't it amazing how you can be sitting at home and watch a live football match happening on the other side of the planet in real time? Well, that's all thanks to this idea we call the global village. It's this concept that technology has made our huge world feel, well, a lot smaller, connecting all of us like never before. Today, we're going to dive into how this incredible change actually happened. No, really, just take a second and try to picture it. Imagine a world with no instant news, no video calls with family, not even electricity in most places. If you wanted to send a message to another country, it could take weeks, not just seconds. That was the reality just over a century ago, and the journey from that world to our world today is all because of communication technology. And this brings us to the main idea for today, the global village. This fantastic term was thought up by a guy named Marshall McLuhan way back in the 1960s. He had this brilliant idea that new electronic media, like TV and radio, would basically just crush distance and time, letting us all experience the same events at the same time, no matter where we were. He saw our giant planet becoming as close-knit and immediate as a tiny village. A great way to think about this whole history of communication is like a big tree. It all started with just one root, good old-fashioned human speech. Then, over centuries, new branches started to grow. First writing, then the printing press, the telephone, radio, and now, of course, the massive, sprawling branches of the internet. Every single new branch brought us closer and closer, weaving together this global village we all live in today. So here's the game plan. We'll kick things off with this global village idea. Then we'll literally travel back in time to see just how different things were. After that, we're going to do something really cool. Squeeze 360 centuries of human history into a single 24-hour day. We'll also look at how tech didn't just give us new gadgets, but totally changed society. And we'll finish up with a really surprising link between your smartphone and ancient writing. Okay, so to really feel the impact of all this change, let's step away from the big ideas for a moment and look at a real story from the past. It's a story about a journey that really shows you just how huge the world used to feel. We're heading back to 1892 in India. Now, this isn't ancient history, right? This is probably around the time your great-great-grandparents were around. The story is about the grandfather of a very famous astrophysicist, S. Chandrasekhar. So he had to get from a place called Tiruchi to another city, Vijayawada. Today, you could probably do that trip in just a few hours. But back in 1892, with no trains or anything, it was this massive, difficult journey by bullock cart and then a boat. And how long did it take? 3 entire weeks. And here's where it gets amazing. This is the power of technology in a nutshell. Just 1 year later, 1 year, in 1893, the railway line was built. And that same journey that took 3 grueling weeks, it was suddenly cut down to just 1 day. Think about that for a second. The train didn't just make the trip faster, it completely changed how people even thought about distance and time. Okay, so that one story shows the impact of a single invention in a single year. Now, let's zoom all the way out. To really get our heads around the entire history of communication, we're going to use this really powerful analogy. We're going to shrink 360 centuries of human history into just 24 hours. This brilliant idea comes from a writer named Frederick Williams, and it's perfect because it shows us just how slow things were for most of human history, and then how unbelievably fast everything exploded very, very recently. So our 24-hour clock starts right at midnight. At this exact moment, humanity begins, and we figure out how to speak. And for a long, long, long time, that's it. Speech is the only communication tool we have.
The clock is ticking and ticking. Nothing new happens until 8 o'clock in the morning. That's a full 8 hours into our day. At 8 a.m., we finally start drawing pictures on cave walls. So just think, for a whole third of human history, all we had was talking and some simple drawings.
And you think that was a long wait? We have to wait another 12 hours. It's not until 8 p.m. at night, with 20 hours of our 24-hour day already gone, that someone finally invents writing. This is so important to understand. In the grand scheme of things, the written word is actually a really new invention. But now, you've got to watch what happens in the last few minutes before midnight. It is an absolute explosion of technology. At 11:53 p.m., we get printing. Just 2 minutes later, the telephone. A minute after that, radio. Then movies, then TV and computers, all of it happening in this frantic, last-minute rush. Pretty much every single piece of communication tech we think of as modern was invented in the last 5 minutes of our imaginary day. Crazy, right? So, this huge tech explosion wasn't just about cool new toys. It completely changed the way society itself worked. So, how did these inventions actually change the way we all live?
The printing press was a total game changer. Before printing, books were super rare, all written by hand. Knowledge was really only for a small group of people, but printing made books and information available to pretty much everyone. And this led to a completely new idea, the idea that every single person should learn how to read and write.
You see, this change from a speaking culture to a writing culture was huge. In what we call oral cultures, all knowledge had to be memorized and passed down from person to person. This created really strong, tight-knit communities. But in literate cultures, knowledge could be stored in a book. This changed everything. It allowed for individual learning and really shifted how we think and interact with each other. Now, let's jump to today. The internet is causing another one of these massive shifts. It's creating something we call virtual communities. You can now connect with people who share your exact same hobbies or interests, even if they live thousands of miles away. It's a whole new kind of community, one that's built on shared passions instead of just being in the same physical place. Okay, now for our last topic, and I think you're going to find this one really cool. We are going to connect the way you send a text message on your phone today to how people wrote thousands of years ago. So when you see text speak, with all the shortcuts and symbols like LOL and BRB, you probably just think it's a totally new thing, right? A modern invention. But what if I told you that the basic ideas behind texting have been around for thousands of years?
So here's the link. Early writing systems, which were often carved into stone or clay, had to be short and to the point. You couldn't waste space, just like a text message. And they used this really clever trick called rebus writing. That's where a picture or symbol is used to represent a sound. So when you type the number 2 to mean the word to, or you type CULAR for see you later, you are using the exact same trick the ancient Sumerians used. It's not new at all. You're just bringing back an ancient strategy. All right, what a trip. We've gone from ancient caves all the way to modern smartphones. So let's just take a minute to do a quick recap of the most important things we talked about.
So what are the key takeaways? First, thanks to technology, our world has become a global village. Second, we learned that for most of human history, communication technology barely changed, but then it just exploded in modern times. Third, big inventions like the printing press don't just give us new gadgets, they completely change our society. Fourth, we saw the difference between oral cultures, which are all about memory, and literate cultures, which are all about written records. And finally, that cool fact, your texting habits actually use an ancient trick called rebus writing. And that leaves us with one final thought. We saw how much has changed in just the last few minutes of human history. With technology moving faster and faster every single day, what do you think our global village will look like in the next 10 years? How is it going to change the way we live, the way we work, and the way we connect with each other? For more clear explanations and daily IGNOU videos, subscribe to IGNOU Mind Decoded.